I'll get started reading the notice. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the September 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Marshfield Planning Board. The time is now 7 p.m. Tonight's meeting is being recorded by MCTV, and we are holding a live remote meeting via Zoom. Our members here tonight are Katie O'Donnell, Nick Papastratis, Fred Monaco will be absent tonight, Kevin Cantwell, I'm Mike Viviano, the chair, and our associate member, we don't have one right now. We're working on that. Also with us tonight is Greg Guimond, our town planner, and Karen Horn, our assistant town planner. At this time, we'll make a motion to open tonight's public meeting and waive the reading of the notice. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Katie O'Donnell, aye.
Thank you. Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Just before we get a little too far, I did get a note that Fred wanted to be able to vote on the associate member, and he asked us to push it. Is everyone okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Yep.
So I don't see any of them here right now. I think it's just us in the meeting, but maybe Greg can just send them an email, or Karen send an email letting them know.
I will.
Okay, thanks. There we go. All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of 7/7/25, 8/4/25, and 8/18/25. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Katie O'Donnell, aye.
Okay, any discussion? No? Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Fred? Fred's not here. Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, thank you. You want to do some, is there any staff report, Greg? We got a few minutes.
I've sent you some emails from Pam Keefe this afternoon. Joe Pesovich has also been in. They are very concerned about the coastal wetlands map changes. And I guess they're also unhappy about the MBTA articles coming back on warrant for a town meeting. I guess on our side, staff would recommend that if you wanted to close the public hearing tonight afterwards, that's fine, but staff would like to recommend leaving the written record open until the next meeting to give time for the staff to get information out to various parties, and then allow the planning board to receive further information or questions.
Okay, sounds good. Anything for any of the board members to share? Kevin, are you still on CPC?
So yeah, I'm still the chair. I'm the chair right now still.
Oh, okay. How's everything going over there?
So we'll see what we have coming up for fall town meeting. We might have a couple items, so it'll be interesting. But I haven't heard what's what's being proposed. We closed on September 30th, new applications, except for open space. So we'll see what we get from folks looking to do stuff.
Okay, thank you. If anyone from the public's here, we're just waiting till 7:05 to start the public hearing on the zoning changes. Oh, also too, Caleb, were you one of the people interested in the associate position? So how I recognize you?
So I just logged on. Can you give me more information about that?
Are you were one of the candidates?
Yes. I was.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. So Fred's not here tonight. You weren't here when we started. He asked if we push that till the next meeting, just so you know.
Oh,
so we're not going to vote. We're not going to vote on it tonight, but feel free to stick around.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'd like to. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, I have 7:05. Greg, how you doing?
Yep, 7:05.
Okay. So time's now 7:05. I'll make a motion that we open the proposed zoning changes for the September Wait, what? You switched the screen. I was reading it.
Oh, sorry. It'll take me a second to get it back up.
I just want to say it was on the agenda. So the proposed zoning changes for special fall town meeting, 2025. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell, aye.
Thank you. Oh, and waive the reading of the notice. Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Kim, all aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. All right, I'll let you take over, Greg.
Okay,
Can I make one note? Just the date change. It says 2024 before you get started.
good catch. Thank you.
Only off by a year.
So we have 14 total articles being submitted by the planning board to the town meeting. The first 3 articles address the MBTA communities. The next 3 articles address the coastal and inland wetlands definition and map changes. One article replaces all references for the old DHCD to change it to reflect the new Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, or EOHLC. One of the articles replaces in the zoning bylaws all references to housing partnership to change it to the Affordable Housing Trust. One article amends 305-503D, which includes both the PMUD and Brant Rock Village overlays as mixed use districts. 3 of the articles are changes to the table of use by modifying the current retail and services, kind of breaking it out a little more. And the final 2 articles add new use categories for the sale of aircraft in the airport district and the towing and impound service to be allowed in the industrial district. So I'm trying to make the MBTA articles a little abbreviated. So there's only about 10 slides on this versus the past, because we've done this for a couple of years now. I think most people understand. Article 13 will be the main text. Article 14 is the map change. Article 15 is the table of use change. Marshfield has been designated as a commuter rail adjacent community by the state. And it's shown over, you can see where the light green in the map next to it. There are a number of things that we have to comply with regarding the MBTA communities. We have to approve a zoning district that will allow for the creation of 1,158 housing units by right. And there must be a minimum 50 acres in size for that district. You can have other smaller districts, but the main point is that you have to have one large contiguous district. We must allow the multifamily by right. The district has to have a gross density of 15 units per acre as a minimum. The housing units cannot be age restricted, and they have to be suitable for families with children. Several important things to keep in mind if Marshfield was to pass this zoning. Although it's required by right, we can require review standards and have site plan review for the proposals. The state has constantly stated the community does not have to build the housing, it just has to locate an area where it could be developed. Communities can require 10% of the new units to meet the state's affordable housing requirements, or Chapter 40B. And also, and I stress this one, the state allows communities to use land already developed as part of this new district. This is the area that we're talking about in the red. There are no vacant parcels in this overlay district. The big tree area in the back of the Quirk Chrysler Dodge and Jeep facility is conservation restricted. And this clump of trees over on the right is broken up between Luchetti's, the Facial Bar, Embodied Day Spa, the Wendy's, and the apartments over next to the high school. So staff started with the state's sample zoning language as a guide, and we created a new section, Article 16, for our zoning bylaw. This zoning article meets the MBTA community's law, and staff had suggested some, the law, and staff has made some comments to modify the state regulations to better fit Marshfield. The standards that the town could lose control of if we do not pass the MBTA's community's law is requiring the site plan review through the planning board, capping the height of to 4 floors. The state model allows up to 6. Capping the density at 16 units per acre. The state model has a minimum threshold, but an applicant could come in with a much higher density if we just go with the state's language. Minimum lot area of 30,000 square feet. The state has no minimum lot area. Keeping the Water Resource Protection District requirements for nitrogen loading and lot coverage in place. The town's zoning bylaw has a higher nitrogen loading requirement, 5 parts per million, versus the state's Title V requirement, which is 10 parts per million. And requiring 10% of the units to meet the Chapter 40B affordable housing requirements. So the map change, Article 14, is basically showing that same area designated as an overlay district. For the most part, this overlay district will be on top of the existing B2 commercial highway district that runs from the Granite Place over to School Street intersection with Plain Street. Article 15 is the table of use change, which basically tells you MBTA communities go see Article 16 instead of looking for which district it's allowed. And then why you should vote for the MBTA articles. This is our last chance to have some say in what happens to our town regarding MBTA communities. The governor and the state will come up with additional ways other than grants to penalize communities. And from what we've heard, they will be taking us to court shortly. One of the ways they'll probably ask for the Mass Supreme Judicial Court to allow a court-appointed special master to decide where to locate and what the review standards will be for us if we do not pass this. And the court-appointed special master could create a zoning district containing a lot of undeveloped or vacant land, which would result in a large number of attached market rate housing units much faster than if the town was to adopt the proposal that we are proposing. On to Articles 16, 17, and 18.
Let's just, hey, Greg, let's talk that one over. Let's all freshen our minds.
Okay.
So 2 things jumped out at me. Can you go back to what we're trying to restrict more than what the state wants? So it seems all pretty reasonable, except I don't know. Do you think they're going to go along with the minimum lot area?
They don't restrict it. They recommend small lot sizes. 30,000 is actually, I believe, smaller than what we currently require for the zone B2.
I'm just wondering. It seems so. If this does get passed at town meeting, and it has these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tighter restrictions, is that then a negotiation with the state?
No,
or is that a take it or leave it?
It's already been reviewed by the state the last time we submitted it. And they were okay with what we had drafted.
With all of them?
With all of them.
Okay. I guess that would alleviate the worry there. Anyone else have any questions on this one? I do have a question on another one, but we don't have to jump.
I don't. I'm good on this one.
All right.
I mean,
So then the other,
my concern, right, with this, all right. Obviously, I know people don't like the MBTA Communities Act. I think we all agree it's not great legislation. I know there's a move in the State House to try to make some changes, and I heard there's going to be a ballot question. My concern is if we don't approve, town meeting doesn't approve this, I think we're the only town holding out, Greg, still, is that correct?
No, we're not the only town that's not in compliance.
All right, so we've already lost X amount of dollars in grants, I know. I mean, I think your bullet points are good points. And if they've basically already said, hey, like Mike's point, these 6 bullet points we're already good with, I'm fine with it. I just, I'm concerned, obviously, if we basically can control our own destiny and wait till the vote in 2026 or whenever it is to get rid of the Ambient Communities Act. I'd rather, be compliant for now. That's just my personal opinion.
So Greg, I think I asked you the question before, and I followed up with Bob Galvin. I asked him what would happen right now if somebody came and filed, and he thinks we'd have a very hard time fighting it. That if we turned it down, they would quickly win in court to build whatever project they want under the state guidelines.
Mm.
So I don't know if you want to follow up with him and make that part of the presentation, but that's a pretty serious thing. Somebody could come in right now on a half-acre lot and put up, 8 units.
I was gonna let Bob address that because that's more of a legal point.
Absolutely.
So I have
I just
talked
think
with
maybe
Bob
should-
about this, yeah, but I was kind of leaving some of this stuff, if it's more legalese, I was gonna let him address those points.
Okay, if they come up, so I'm not sure how to. I think it's a good point, so I don't want town meeting to think that you're up there trying to scare them into passing this. You make some really good points. When you went to the point with the governor, you talked about the governor will come up with other things. I think it's going to be taken the wrong way at town meeting. If we get to that slide, the governor, and the state will come up with additional ways other than grants to penalize the communities. It's very aggressive, I think. I don't think they're going to come up with other ways to penalize us. I think what's going to happen is they're going to appoint a special master and they're just going to shove it down our throats.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what will happen, because Bob Galvin has said that, but to be threatening other penalties that we haven't heard of those, unless I'm wrong. Do you know of them threatening other penalties besides what they've done?
Other than they were gonna bring us to court.
That's not a penalty. That's just a legal battle. So I think this presentation should come off as informational as possible.
Yep.
With letting people know consequences, but not saying, hey, do this or this is going to happen. At least keep it in fact where.
Michael.
Yeah, I mean, what does everyone else think about it?
I'll remove that bullet.
I don't think it helps. Does anyone else think it helps or doesn't help?
I don't know specifically about that bullet. I really like the other slide that we were looking at with those 6 points about what's at risk. I think that maybe having a slide that instead of saying why you should vote for this, just the you language, I would tend to avoid. I don't think anybody likes to be told how to vote. I just think that sets them off no matter what. If somebody tells me what to do something, I'm always gonna bristle no matter what it is. If you tell me to order chocolate milk, then I won't. But I think that really laying out what is at risk for, and kind of what a yes vote, no vote means and what a no vote means. Maybe if those bullet points could kind of be side by side to make it really clear, what your voting options are and what the consequences could be.
Yeah, Katie, I think you're spot on with that, especially not saying, why you should vote. That I don't think that's great, because that will be taken negatively again from a lot of people in town that are even for this. So I agree with you on that. And just on this one slide that we're looking at right now, it says that, you know, the last line, the standards that the town could lose control of. Why not put it in the affirmative or the positive, saying, this is what we're trying to gain control of by passing this, you know?
Yeah, like what we can keep and what's at risk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not what we're going to lose,
Yeah.
because it just comes off as us trying to push it down somebody's throat.
And I think
Or
again,
threaten.
too, we talked about this like with other communities who don't have the type of overlay district that we have the opportunity for here. I think that that's what makes, you know, what Greg and Karen have come up with so thoughtfully of this overlay district that we're, well, I think we're in a unique situation in comparison with other communities in the state.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So Greg, maybe we could work that slide a little bit, especially the last part of it, of not losing control, but trying to gain control of
Yep.
these things. If, you know, when you originally started the presentation in the beginning, you had mentioned most people know what this is about, but just this week, because a lot of people have called me about this, 2 people said, why do we want trains in Marshfield? And I'm like, come on, man, it's not about trains. So there's still a lot of people who just hear things through the grapevine that don't understand or weren't at the last meeting to hear what this is all about. So we are still educating people on even what this is about, and it's not about trains. So
It would not hurt if you were to mention that to our town council and town moderator.
you mean about the length of this?
Yes, about the presentation length and stuff.
I like the length. I think it's short and sweet with a couple of tweaks. It's,
Okay.
you know, it doesn't mention anything about trains. Do you want more time with it?
No, I was trying to, because last time, well, I've made multiple in-depth presentations in the past, and it's been kind of asked to make it a shorter presentation. So that's what I was trying to do.
Unfortunately, most people zone out after 2 minutes. So you get a good 1 minute with them, and after 2 minutes, it's tough to keep their attention with these. So,
Yep.
you know, how
So-
long does that take? 3 minutes probably. It's pretty quick.
I was gonna try to be under my 5 minutes that I'm usually allowed.
I think you just went way under 5 minutes.
So if I get rid of the governor and the state bullet point on this one and change the title, do I leave any of this stuff or not say it at all? Because I think,
I'd like, you know, I don't think the title should be "Why should you vote for?" Saying, you know, why. What, I'm not the best at wording this, but I know that feels aggressive. The current title, or it feels pushy.
okay.
So
Yeah. Sorry.
anyone, you know, feel free to
I
throw out a working title.
Is this part public? Can I talk in this part?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Caleb, you can. We have very few people in here, so all free to join.
Cool. I think that you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone on this and giving some background on the act and also the urgency of this matter by putting it on a timeline. I mean, like, hey, this was rolled out so many years ago. This is legislation. This is how it pertains to us. We challenged it. Also, this is our last chance before time runs out on whatever the thing is. So you're framing what is the act? Have we talked about it before? Why are we talking about it now? What's the urgency? Without saying you need to do any of this. I don't know if that's an option.
It is, but like Greg said, we got to keep this under 5 minutes. And so you could do 3 minutes on the background of all this, right? Pretty easy.
Yeah, it's
I
fair.
could do
I
20
think
minutes.
it was 20 minutes. I like the visual of a timeline. I feel like we've got a lot of things with a lot of text here. And I think we need all of this to answer specific questions as they come up. But I do think that to kind of streamline the key points, I think that the slides could be sort of combined and narrowed down a little bit.
The big text slides.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this one points out all the things we're trying to gain control over.
That's what we have to cover. And so this slide is similar to the second blue slide, font slide.
This is almost talking about it twice, right?
Almost, yep.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering, like, almost like a table of, this is what the state requires. This is what we're proposing, like with the parts that benefit Marshfield. And then if it does not pass, what's the consequence of losing that portion?
And Greg, I know we're talking a lot about this and you made it, but you did a good job making it. I just trying to hatch it out. There's nothing wrong with it per se.
This is good point, so don't worry about it.
It's just super important. Hopefully it passes. So
yep.
Put our best foot forward. That's all. Did you talk to Andrew about this at all?
Andrew Stewart?
Yeah.
We have not specifically talked about the MBTA communities in a while.
Okay. So when does this final language need to be submitted?
Well, I'm going to do some modifications before I get to the advisory board meeting tomorrow night. We have time because once we get through the advisory board to do even more changes. Because I have I think it's a week. They want a week in advance to town meeting, any PowerPoint presentation. So we have some time for corrections.
I like Katie's point too. This is a busy slide right here.
Yep.
All along trying to pick it apart to see what's important and not important.
Well, one less bullet will make it less busy looking.
It will. I think, Katie, you made a great point. A lot of it is information and questions that will be asked. So sticking to the bullet points of what it is, what we're trying to do. How come we don't come right out and say it, that this is a great place to put it because it's very difficult for it to be done?
I have been reluctant in the past because I didn't want to make it sound like we were purposely setting it up that nothing could happen, because I didn't think the
well, that's not
like that very much.
Something can always happen. It would take someone a little more effort in the spot we picked.
Yes.
And I think that is one heck of a point to drive through to town meeting. And if the state wanted to argue it later, well, hey, we passed this place that meets your guidelines. Yep. Sorry, whoever it is, whoever it is up at the state. Sorry, but we did exactly what you wanted. We have it done. We've passed it.
Yep.
And I think the best thing that could be said at town meeting was we put it here because it's more difficult to get it done because all the properties are already owned. There isn't big, large tracts of open land that somebody can just come in and do this so quickly. It doesn't mean someone can't do it, but they need to go buy out a pretty substantial business or something else.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, just along those lines, in thinking of, whenever we're talking about developments, I always think about the existing residents or the existing abutters, to something. And I think that this location of this overlay also kind of means the least impact on existing residents and existing neighborhoods within the town. Whereas if the state had could come in and place such overlays in other parts of town, I think many more people would be impacted.
Or over the entire town. They could just come in and say, well, one big overlay. Here you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, worst case scenario.
Yeah, back to the earlier points about, is there a slide that we bullet point or do a comparison of like the risks with like non-compliance? Do we try to flag these things at the state? I know it's speculative to some degree, but the state could select a different part of the town, right? And just, I don't know, Greg, I think you have all the information already embedded in the slides to some degree. I just think it's kind of cherry picking them so it's even more concise for folks, right?
Yep.
When I've spoken with other people in the town that have asked me about this, especially the two people who thought there was trains coming in, and I educated them to what this really is. And they came out and they asked me that question, why that area then? Why did we pick that? It's a great spot for the town because it's more difficult to get it done for somebody else. It's not going to be a big tract of land, up in North Marshfield where they can go throw in a big apartment complex. Even though it says North Marshfield, obviously, but I think coming up with that correct language to let people know, I think that's one of the things that should be driven at that, as part of this, to why it's such a good location.
Greg, do you reference the current density? I can't remember if you had the current density of housing in here.
Did. So the Fox
Yeah.
Road apartments are at 13 units per acre already.
Yeah.
So the likelihood of the developer coming in and knocking them all down, unless they're completely obsolete or falling apart, to put in 15 unit or 16 units per acre, it's money-wise, it's not that great of an incentive.
Yeah. That's kind of a helpful metric just to understand by comparison,
Well,
the
we've
density.
mentioned this before in the previous
No, I know, but to Mike's point, there's more people that are paying attention to this now, and there's bound to be, and additional people voting and at the meeting and all this. So,
right.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give them the Fox Run density number as part of one of them.
Greg, if you remember, I think one of the questions that the town meeting was asking, or someone thought that if we approve this, that a lot of these businesses are going to be basically removed,
Sure.
and then all of these developments are going to be, like day one will be implemented. And no, that's not exactly the case, right?
Yep.
What does the rest of the board think about?
Greg, I think this visual here is a good visual for people because when I talk to people, they don't understand it. I say, look, it's in a place that's already developed. You folks, it meets all the criteria. We have to have a place by statute where it is, but we already have, it's already built up. And when folks see this, and like Katie said, it'll be less, for the abutters and the people on School Street and other places. Look, this is where it is. We're not gonna, hopefully people at town meeting agree with our thinking because, it's obviously our last chance.
And just one other talking point that I would presume too is that a lot of these existing developments are they were built in like the 70s, right? So any redevelopment would have to come up to all of the modern standards and the water resource protection district overlay that we have. There are a lot of other things that would make this level of development challenging today too.
I think those are the points. They're not fear points. They're legitimately good points to why Greg and Karen originally picked this.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the slide where we were trying to tell them what we need, what we'd like to take control of, also briefly mentions, or maybe part of the beginning of the presentation starts with, we chose this because it's already built out. And, it's a lot more difficult to come do it here than a big open field of land. And then end on that point as well. We chose here because it's hard. We chose here because it's likely not going to be done. Any of those condo units that are there, it never happens on those. They have to buy out every single condo unit owner. So,
Stage Stop, Castle
Yep.
Green.
yep. So while it could be done, yes, that is an unbelievably tough thing to do, to buy out, 60 condo unit owners at a time. So I think it's the best point to make to town meeting, to let them know why this makes sense.
Okay. We will revise it. I'll send you the revisions. And we'll see what happens with the select board and the advisory board tomorrow night.
All right. Anything else on this, guys? No? Okay. We can move on if no one else has anything. Let me ask, was anyone else from the public here besides Caleb for this particular article? Okay, Greg, we can move on.
So Articles 16, 17, 18 are about the inland and coastal wetlands. Some background information. The Soil Conservation Service is now called Natural Resource Conservation Service. It is a federal agency under the U.S. Department of Agriculture. For years, the service has been providing communities with both coastal and inland wetland mapping based on soil information. This is different than Mass Wetlands Protection Act, which is based on soils and vegetation, and you go through the Conservation Commission for permitting. From time to time, these maps have been updated. The most recent map update was in 2020. We updated the inland wetland layer back in April of 2024. At the time, we had been told the coastal layer hadn't changed. However, further research showed us that it made map changes to the coastal wetlands information. These articles are to update our local inland and coastal wetland information on our zoning map. Article 16 would basically change the definition of the inland wetlands by swapping out the language Soil Conservation Service with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Article 17, the language in the definition for the coastal wetlands included issued in July of 1969. And because they continually update it over time, we've changed the language to be as determined by the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And then Article 18 would update the coastal and inland wetland layers of the zoning map with the updated soils information, which will correct the Green Harbor polder area, which has been displayed for a while as an inland wetland. Incorrectly, it's a coastal wetland area, or the majority of it is. This is the zoning map changes. The red is the inland, the green is the coastal. And you can see here's the polder area. Now it's showing as more of the green, which is land under inundation for flooding, etc., or high tides. The two red areas show areas where there has been changes to the soils since 1969. And because they have been altered with fill and pavement, they are no longer considered coastal wetlands areas. That includes the Town Pier Road. The sewer treatment plant is located there, the DSA, Harbor Park, and the Town Pier. And we do have some additional information on 1972. There was more defined area for the coastal wetlands in that area. And actually, the sewer treatment plant, the DSA, and the Town Pier had already been removed in that 1972 order. Article 19 is.
Are we, sorry, was that
We're done
18 or
with
are we
the,
moving
we're
on?
done with those three, yep.
So what's the impact here, changing this map?
We are actually showing the proper information by correcting the map. There is concern with some residents that we are removing areas which would allow other development. The lower area over by the town pier, all that is uses, municipal uses that are allowed in the zoning article. And those are the only uses that are allowed in that area. The area up at the intersection near the old, I call it the old BP gas station on the curve on 139, and also Plymouth Ave. That area had been altered by several other people. They're already in trouble on the state and local level for violations of actually the Wetlands Protection Act. And there are restrictions on those properties.
So everything that was in red before and is in green now is the change?
Yes, so the majority of the change is basically the polder area.
No,
And-
it's the red is the inland. The
Right.
green is the coastal. They're not the areas that have changed.
Okay, thank you. So I think this slide's very confusing. Because now we're showing coastal and inland, but this one's just really updating the,
This is
Inland, right?
updating, yeah, the map to the left is what's the changes actually are taking place. It's just to reflect the actual soils area correctly. So in 1972, we had the polder area showing as a coastal wetland. And then over time, there was changes in the people that were producing the maps. And when the maps came back, it was very hard to read the different wetland symbols. And it came back as inland wetland for the Green Harbor polder area versus the inland wetland. I should say the coastal wetland. Karen, do you want to add anything?
It's really just we're making this current that with the soils with the soils mapping that we always referenced in the bylaw, but we just didn't have the current. We were referencing 1969 and now we have 2020 data.
okay, so we're just going on good data now.
Well, current data.
Current data, correct, okay. Okay, yeah, any questions from the board? Seeing none. Is that it, Greg, on that one?
Okay. Article 19 is, as I mentioned before, replacing DHCD with EOHLC everywhere in the zoning bylaw. The state's already done it, so again, we're just making our bylaw reflect current day information.
Okay, any questions? Okay,
Article 20 is the housing partnership no longer exists. The town meeting voted to create an affordable housing trust. So this again is changing the bylaw to reflect the current conditions that we have a affordable housing trust now, not a housing partnership.
seems like an easy one. Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Article 21 reflects the fact that the PMUD, or Planned Mixed Use Development up by the high school in Roach Brothers, and the Grant Rock Village Overlay District are both also mixed use districts. So for quite a long time, since the 70s, the only mixed use district in the zoning bylaw in this section, 503D, was the one zoning district. And now we have 3 areas where you can have mixed use residential above. And that's the PMUD, the Brant Rock Village overlay, and the B1 downtown zoning area.
Is that going to immediately spark a big debate about Brant Rock?
It might.
It
Right.
might not be the best time.
Well, but
run that
it's
article.
it's not changing that. It's already listed as mixed use.
I know. It's just
So-
that look what happened when, when the owners brought it up last time, and look at the conversation that happened there.
Well, that's not exactly the same thing they brought up, but
Understood.
that section of the bylaw already says it's mixed use. So this is just cross-referencing back to just before the table of use.
I would table that one if I was doing it. But if it's really necessary right now, then let us know, and maybe it should go through. Anyone else have thoughts on that before we open up a can of worms at town meeting mentioning Brant Rock right now?
I feel
Why
like
don't we see how we do? I was going to say, why don't we see how we do tomorrow night with the advisory board and the select board?
I think those are the easy ones. As soon as anyone says, "Oh, wait a minute, we have a chance right now to stop," Brant Rock overlay, which they don't in this, obviously.
Right.
It just seems like a little can of worms being opened up for no reason right now. So when we get to 21, we'll vote it separately, because I'm going to vote not to move it forward, but everyone gets their own on that one. Any other questions on 21? Okay, Greg, we'll move on.
So 22 is where we're trying to break down that retail and service 6. And we're trying to allow certain uses in the industrial district and in the B3 by special permit. So it removes aircraft, sales of aircraft from this category, and it allows most of the permitted uses in the B2 and the B3, and then make it by right in the industrial district.
Okay, any questions?
That's why I highlighted the changes are the yellow blocks. And the blue is, what we're suggesting for those districts. And this, I have spoke with Andrew Stewart on this and the next 2 articles.
Okay, do you have any concerns?
Oh, no, he did not. He actually liked the idea.
Okay,
Because he's had people who's wanted to do, as we get into the next couple of slides, these certain things.
okay, let's go to the next one.
So this is separating out oil, motor vehicle repairs and from gasoline sales and service stations. And we know that service stations often sell convenience goods. We are changing it from a special permit in RB to prohibited in the residential business district. And it allows gasoline sales, et cetera. It was already allowed in the B2 and the B3, so we're not changing that. But we are taking it out of the RB. If you remember when we passed the residential business district years ago, it was heading down Marshfield Neck by Gerard's Farm, et cetera. That area had a lot of smaller homes right on 139, and it also had homes that had home occupation businesses and stuff, which is why we created the residential business district. I don't think we necessarily need a gas station in there. We have one on that curve where the BP used to be. That's still a business zone. And we have sales of gasoline in the downtown as well.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Is there one more, Greg?
And then this one is to allow boat storage in the industrial district by a special permit. This is one of the uses that Andrew, he has a couple of properties that have boat storage, outside boat storage, etc. So it's kind of reflecting that that's a use. It's outside of the water resource protection district in that area. And it would require a special permit, so there would be some overseeing and some buffering and some other improvements that would happen on those sites.
So they could not store anything in WRPD?
Right. Boat storage has been a prohibited use already in the WRPD.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Greg.
25 is, as we mentioned before, it should be an allowed use in the airport because, you know, you're going to want to do more than kick the tire. If you're going to buy an airplane, you're probably going to want to go up in it. So that makes sense to sell airplanes there than in the B2 district.
Okay. Any questions? Oh.
And then I believe this is the last one, and this was another thing that Andrew had brought up. Towing services and impound storage, again, in the industrial district, but not in the industrial district that's within the WRPD. That we would allow the towing and impound services with special permit, so there is some requirements about buffer and you know, other things can be addressed.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions? None? Okay, so I think we can vote them all together except for 21. 21 was,
So Mike, actually, I was gonna, staff's recommendation was to close the public hearing, but leave the written record open till the next meeting. That allows us to also gauge how it goes with the advisory board and the board of select board and stuff. And then you guys can come back and have a better idea of if there's additional public comments.
so don't we need to leave it all open then if we want to discuss it again after that?
If you want, you could leave the public hearing open, or you could leave it as the written record.
Yeah, let's just leave it open in case we want to discuss again after you see the selectmen and advisory.
Okay.
No need to cancel it right now. Caleb, you got a question? Or on mute.
I was signaling to my wife in the kitchen.
Okay. I see your hand. All right. So, all right. So we'll just continue this public hearing until what's the date?
October 6th.
Okay. Anyone have an issue with that? All right. Seeing that, I'll make a motion. We continue this public hearing until October 6th, 2025 at 7:01. So we don't have to wait again. Is there a question? Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Katie O'Donnell.
Thanks. Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. All right. I think that was all that was on the agenda, right, Greg?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right. Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we conclude tonight's public hearing. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Katie O'Donnell, aye.
Thank you, Nick.
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Cantwell, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Thank y'all.